Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Thursday. All of today's guests, including Ian Furness, standing by, brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Giants are on a long prairie road trip and return to the Langley Events Center for a 2 p.m. matinee game Sunday, January 21. Visit vancouvergiants.com/ticket for tickets, ticket details. Just before we get to Ian, Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox from Dwight. I care a lot more about GTO and BTO than PDO.
PDO.
I'm a fan of Dwight's.
Yeah.
Anybody who brings up BTO and is a fan of BTO.
Yeah.
Superior band to Kiss when you go back to the 70s. I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of Dwight. I'm a fan of Ian Furness as well. He joins us from KJR Sports Radio, Fox 13 Sports in Seattle. Ian, a lot going on in Seattle. How are you?
Good. Does Toigo know he's sponsoring this segment with me a part of it? I'm not sure if he approved, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you know what? Ryan's getting a call from him right now.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that, Ian. All right?
Toigo line 5.
It's the White Spot hotline coming in right now. So,
But what's the backstory there? I can't read. You had a good relationship with Ron.
No,
Who
we had
doesn't? Yeah,
we had a pretty good relationship. We had a couple battles along the way. I was young. He was not young, but he was. Yeah, I know. We were fine. I like Ron. He's a good guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't agree with a couple decisions, but we can get into that in the off season at some point. So
Let's do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at everything going on in Seattle. Seahawks at Arizona, season on the line Sunday. The Kraken 7-0-2 in their last 9. There's the Winter Classic, and then of course Washington versus Michigan on Monday. College football title game. Let's start, as we often do up here north of the border, with hockey. Your takeaway, I know you love that. Your takeaway from the Winter Classic at T-Mobile Park on the weekend.
I was just telling Ryan, as we're getting hooked up here, it was fantastic. Look, the NHL did it right. It was the event itself was put on perfectly. I didn't get over to the fan experience part in the North parking lot. We had Hawks to worry about on Sunday, and then we were there early in the morning on Monday doing live shots and so forth. But I can just tell you, and it's hard because from a media perspective, it's always different than a fan perspective. But for the most part, I haven't heard. The only complaints I heard were like some of the concession stands had long lines and they ran out of some items. That's on the baseball team, so that goes right back to that goes to the baseball team. I thought the NHL did a fabulous job setting it up, making it easy for everyone. The atmosphere, how the park looked, it was honestly just first class. And one of the things I was telling Ryan, I said, we had a comp this year, and that would have been the All-Star weekend with Major League Baseball with the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game. And yeah, I guess it's a regular season game and it's a so-called rival and all those things. But if we just look at it for what it is, it's an event. It's a big event in the same venue. So apples to apples, I just thought it was better run. I thought it was a better fan experience. Major League Baseball, the Home Run Derby's fun, but it's a made-for-TV event. You have no idea what's going on. The baseball game is it was just awesome. Everything about it was fantastic. Obviously, Kraken winning 3-0 was great too, but just the whole atmosphere, vibe, art playing in the first intermission. That, my friends, is how you do an intermission or a halftime. You have a local band that's good. All those Grammys, they sounded fantastic. Ann and Nancy Wilson, beautiful, awesome. Yeah.
Hart played at my high school at a dance. So we can talk about that in the summer as well in the off season.
Yes, absolutely.
As you know, they spent a lot of time in Vancouver when they were younger. No one cares. Let's move on. The Kraken 7-0-2 in their last 9. You've spent a lot of time on this program criticizing. No, you have.
Yep.
And rightfully so, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that made the playoffs last year. Disappointing start, but the last 9 games have been outstanding, relatively speaking. How come?
They're going back to playing like they did last year. In all seriousness, when they got on a roll last season, it was December, January, February when they were playing well. They got in the playoffs and they were doing some of the I hate the cliche, the simple things, but they were. I mean, Dave Haxtell's a very structured system. I think it's hard for 82 games sometimes for guys to go with what he wants to do, but This team's not skating with teams. They're not going up and down the ice. They need to get it in. They need to win battles in the forecheck. They need to cycle the puck. They need to create opportunities that way, and they need good, timely goaltending. And they're getting all those things. Joey Decore has been fantastic in the last month. The team as a whole, you look at the hit rate is up. They're causing more turnovers. They're forcing the other team off the puck. They're winning those puck battles. They're doing all the things that they didn't do at the start of the season, and they're starting to do that now. I think they realize who and what they are. Now, the other thing is they're healthy. They're getting healthier, I should say. Burakovsky's back. They've got some – they're going to have some decisions to make pretty soon. Thomas Tatar's really helped them out. You bring a top six guy in that's kind of settled down that top line, so to speak. I guess it's a top line. The third line has been fantastic. The Yanni Gourde line with Tolvanen and Oliver Bjorkstrand's been sensational. And I think the other thing, guys, honestly – I think we might have talked about at the start of the year. There were a couple guys that you're like that were so good last spring, and you're saying, what happened? Like the Borgen Alexiak pairing was just kind of like, it just wasn't really there. Vince Dunn had a little bit of a slow start, and I say a little bit, maybe like the first couple 3 weeks. He's been great. I mean, he's not going to win a Norris, but he is one of the better defensemen in the league that nobody talks about. So they're just playing better hockey, but they're healthier. They're playing better as a team. They're playing what they want to do. And also Decorde's been fantastic, and they didn't get great goaltending at the start of the year.
Ian, huge football game in Houston on Monday. Washington and Michigan. Boy,
I thought you meant the Seahawks game.
No, I'm going to bypass the Seahawks. I'm so ticked off at them against the Steelers. But listen, this Michael Penix Jr., he's fun to watch. He's got me glued to the TV. I'm watching this guy more than I've ever watched a college quarterback in a long time. So give us the preview. Michigan's going to be tough. They got a great defense, but what do you see happening on Monday?
Oh, I'm hoping I'm singing the Michigan fight song all day. Is go blue, go dun. It's hard for us that aren't Husky fans here, man. It is painful. I mean, it is painful. But Penix is good.
Yeah,
he's really good. If you like the game, sometimes you got to take a step back from being a fan or a rival and just appreciate him for what he is. He is so accurate. And not just with like a short ball or like a lot of quarterbacks they're good intermediate, they're good short, they're good in certain. He can throw every deep ball. I mean, if you watch that game against Texas, he threw some deep balls where guys were covered, and he just dropped it in there. It wasn't like guys are running free against the Longhorns. He's really special. The only thing, because we'll talk about the draft, I know at some point, and people kind of, he's like the fourth or fifth, maybe best or ranked quarterback right now in the NFL draft. And the only thing is he's had some health issues, but those were years ago. He'll go to the combine. We'll see what he does. If he passes all the medicals, I think he's going to go a lot higher than people expect right now. I think he's sensational. He's a good leader. He is a game breaker. He's a difference maker. I voted him number one in the Heisman. I don't know how people couldn't. I don't know what those guys were thinking in the South with Jaden Daniels. He played a really tough schedule, and I think he'll be the difference on Monday, to be honest with you. As good as Michigan is up front on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive line, I think Michael Penix and those three receivers will be the difference on Monday.
Yeah.
Seahawks at Arizona Sunday, must win for Seattle. What goes through your mind? And they certainly were on display against Pittsburgh on Sunday. What goes through your mind when you watch Seattle's defense these days?
Are we live? Is there a dump button? What can we do here? What can I? You don't want to know what's going through my mind when I'm watching that thing in person. It is awful, man. It is. Well, you guys saw Ottawa the other night, right? You saw the lack of So think about Ottawa's defense and goaltending on in the first period on Tuesday. That's what the Seahawks defense looks like. It's just whatever you want to do, you can. Just, if you want to run for 15, you'll run for 15. If you want to run for 23, you'll run for 23. It is very Ottawa-like. And it's mind-boggling because you have a defensive head coach, like a guy that prides himself on defense, and Pete Carroll. I don't think it's Pete's fault. I don't think it's Clint Hurt's fault, the defensive coordinator. In this town, we like to do a couple of things. Every year we want to fire the hitting coach for the Mariners, and every year we want to fire both coordinators for the Seahawks. And sometimes oftentimes it's happened, to be honest with you. It usually does happen. But these guys are in the right spot. The Pittsburgh Steelers averaged 3.9 yards per carry after contact on Sunday. That would not only be a league high if it was during the course of the year, it would be a league high by a substantial margin. The players were in the right spots. They got there. They got to the point of attack. They just didn't wrap up. They didn't make tackles. I think there's a want-to issue here, guys. I think there's a true want-to issue. I mean, when you get there but you don't make a tackle and you're an NFL player, an NFL defensive player, you got to question yourself, look in the mirror. That's not on the coach. That's not on the defensive coordinator. That's on you. They missed Jordan Brooks tremendously, who missed the game, their linebacker. He should be back this week, which is a good thing. But there is a massive want-to issue. They've supposedly addressed the defensive line. They rebuilt the defensive line in the offseason. It's worse than it was a year ago. Part of that is because Chenna Nwosu's been out for a good chunk of the year as their best edge guy. But yeah, it was just abysmal. It was a hard, painful watch on Sunday. But it's been that way for most of the year, guys. They're not the worst rush defense in the NFL because that belongs to Arizona, who they play this week. So, I mean, it might be like the old school. Donnie, you'll remember this. It might be the old school Southwest Conference, man. You might as well run the wishbone with Arkansas and SMU and Craig James and all those guys. I think both teams will run for 250 this week.
3 yards in a cloud of dust, as they used to say back in the day. Thanks for making me feel old there, by the way. Yeah. You'll remember this.
Well, I can't wait to hear about the Hart playing at your high school or your elementary school or whatever it is.
High school.
They must have been really young back then.
They were. They were just. I don't think Barracuda had come out quite yet. They were there. Yeah, they were there.
Yeah. And just for guys our age, Donnie, I can tell you this because I got down. I got down close enough. Nancy Wilson, still first round draft pick. Still a lottery pick.
Okay.
Still had the little red streaks in the hair. Lottery pick, guys. Lottery pick. I don't care. It might be pushing 70, but a lottery pick. Absolutely.
Much like back in the day in 1977 at Alpha Senior Secondary in Burnaby.
Yeah.
Things haven't changed.
You were a lottery pick too, Donnie. Don't sell yourself short.
I think the surprising part about that story is that I went to high school.
Did you graduate? Did you graduate?
That's all we need to hear from Ian Furness. I graduated. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it, my friend.